Welcome to this week's video where I will continue making the speakers that I started last week. Sadly, the quality is still pretty crappy because I was using the same ancient camera, but I promise to fix that in future videos, and I hope you enjoy. Picking up from where we left off last week, here I am making another hole and carefully cutting it out, cutting out the pieces, and using a slightly different saw, using two different saws. The process is a little bit more streamlined than it was last time, because basically I figured out what I'm supposed to do. Basically I just cut inside of the hole to the perforation to make fourths, and then I carefully broke them out, just like with the first hole that we did last week. While I was doing this, I actually cut my finger, but sadly my camera screwed me over and didn't film it. But if you keep watching my videos, there's always a good chance of me hurting myself and you seeing it. Now, after I'm done breaking out the pieces, all I do is sand around the edges to make sure that it's more even and round. Afterwards, I drilled out the holes for the control panel, which I didn't do earlier, and you can see my drill going crazy because the drill bit gets stuck all the time. Afterwards, I constantly check to make sure that the control panel fits and make the holes bigger to accommodate the buttons and knobs. It's actually kind of funny, I didn't get this on camera, but at one point my drill bit just exploded and flew all over the room. I didn't get hurt or anything, but I just thought it was kind of funny. Getting back to the task at hand, you can see me just sanding out the inside, making sure that it's even, just as I said before. And when I finished that, I just sanded all of the edges around the pieces to make sure that when I glue it, it glues evenly and just to make the process easier. Afterwards, I went and did up the back part, made some finishing touches, and started gluing. I started gluing with the back piece, which is actually not what I wanted to do, but in the end it turned out alright. So I don't have any clamps or anything, so I just use books because it's easier to make things more even. I use a paintbrush to apply the glue because it makes it easier to control the amount. You really don't need that much glue. Actually, the less the better, because too much glue makes a mess and it dries slower. And I just like the process of applying glue with a paintbrush. Now you can see me cutting one of the pieces because I made it too big when I initially cut out the pieces. Then I just continued gluing, making sure that everything aligned perfectly to make an aesthetically pleasing end result. And I aligned everything with books to make sure that the glue dried in the right position. After I finished gluing, I hammered in nails into all of the edges to make sure that it holds better, but this isn't really necessary. I just like hammering, and you can see here the end result. After everything dried, I spray painted it. I used black paint, but I only used one coat to make a more retro faded look. I spray painted each side once, and you can see the end result. After that, I started applying the speakers and screwing in the bolts that hold them in place. I used a regular screwdriver, but you could probably use power tools for this. I don't have them. Basically, you want to do this carefully, once again, to make sure that the speakers align perfectly so that the wood won't be blocking the sound. After I finished with the speakers, I started screwing in the control panel, carefully aligning the knobs, making sure that everything's right side up so that later the power button fits and that you can easily use the control panel and control the volume, tone, and so on. And basically here it is. I made it a little bit neater with electrical tape. And here you can see it turned on with the glowing little light, and you can see it from the front. And afterwards I put everything into the ready case, aligned everything so that it fits nicely, and started gluing the edge. Once again, using the paintbrush to carefully apply the glue as to not smudge or damage, I guess the word would be, the paint job. After I was done with that, I hammered in nails into all of the edges on the front side. To reiterate, this isn't really a necessary step. Now I'm just going to put on a clip to show the speakers in action. That was just a little clip I made for this project. It took about 20 minutes. Here is the end result, the finished speakers. You can see them from the front and from the back. Sorry about the wonky video and my hand, but this is the end result. And that's basically how it's done. I hope you enjoyed this video and will like, comment, and subscribe, and remember to keep making things.